just moving a couple notes. This is perfect. And thank you again so much, Mary, for being willing to do this with us today. We're so excited to have you talking about the Zoom backgrounds. We know a lot of professionals that are in their homes, they're in a spare bedroom. I've even watched some people at my wife's work where you see a messy bed in the background. Like,
yeah, too much information, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And so to have this opportunity to walk through, is it accidental, is it crazy, or is it working? Is it providing the professional vibes or just feelings that you're trying to really present and position yourself? I really feel like today's is really key, especially in the atmosphere for Washington State, where we're still almost getting more strict on our regulations. So this is a way that we can continue to serve customers as best as we can and as professionally as we can. And so thank you so much, Mary, for doing this today. For those of you who haven't met Mary, she is a HGTV featured interior designer. She is in Washington over in Mount Lake Terrace, but she services the whole area. She does remote. She's nationwide in everything that she does. And we're just so glad and blessed that she's here with us today. I also do want to thank the Southeastern Washington Economic Development Association for helping to sponsor today, along with the other organizations, the Pullman Chamber and the city, who also help to promote these webinars out. We're just so thankful to have the support and really trying to provide good information, learning opportunities to the business community in the Pullman and everyone we serve. And so with that, Mary, I'll hand it over to you. I'm excited for today.
Okay, thanks so much, Adam. And also Preston, you guys have done so much to make this possible. And I really just want to thank you, excuse me, for the invitation to do it. And I'm with you. I'm excited to do this for this reason too, is this is so vital. You know, business, there's so much that's changed about business right now. And I mean, that's an understatement. We hear it all the time, so not to be redundant. But, you know, we never really got, you know, any training of how to be camera ready. And all of a sudden, this is part of business. This is part of branding, is being camera ready. And so as I've kind of just sort of my experience just going online, different Zoom meetings, things like that, the bar is so low. And I think the reason is people just were not prepared for this. And yet it's so easy. You know, if you know what to do, the steps are not complicated, they're easy, and it doesn't have to take a lot of time. So the good news about all this is, besides that, is it's going to be easy to stand out, because so many people have just either they don't want to deal with it or they don't know how to deal with it, and they've just kind of let it slide. So, you know, by the time we get to the end of this, my goal is for anybody that's listening, whether you're a business owner or you're working in a business, maybe a director or in management or whatever role you have, if you're involved in Zoom meetings and video meetings, I should say, and I assume you are if you've tuned in, that, you know, this can really change how you come across and how you're perceived, because now visual is definitely part of our branding. So that's what we're going to do today. So let's get rolling. Okay, so is your Zoom background accidental? Is it crazy, or is it working for you? These were the three boxes I felt that what I saw online went into. These were the three things that were happening or working for people. And I'm going to give you examples of that. So let's just go ahead and roll into that. These are good examples. Now, if you were a prospect or a client, well, you're going to be one of these: prospect, a client, boss, or an employee. Who would you want to do business with, or who would you want to work for? Just, you know, just the Zoom meeting has started, or whatever, this is an interview, whatever it is, who would you start feeling like, okay, I'm expecting something good here, you know, and we won't do a raising of hands things, but, you know, we immediately get an impression. And sometimes people feel like, well, that's kind of shallow, or that's a bit vain, but here's what's going on. It can be both, but it doesn't have to be either. the quickest way that we process when we are encountering someone is what we see, just because our brain can process that so quickly. So we always are going to start there. And then however that person communicates, you know, we start finding out more about them and that sort of thing. We start factoring that in. But what we saw visually either facilitated us being open to what they're saying, or they put a hurdle in front of us that now they don't know this, but we're having to try to overcome that, to listen to what they say, focus on it, not be distracted, and also feel like, you know what, this person has something to say that could be valuable. You know, that we're starting to trust them. We're starting to feel like, you know, we could be open to working with this person, or, you know, in a business sense, I mean, as far as a client or a prospect, or also if it's someone within the organization, whether they're in management over us or whether we're an employee in a meeting and this is someone leading the meeting, or even how we're perceived with our colleagues. This is a great opportunity to reposition yourself. You know, if you feel like you need to kind of polish up some things, this is a great opportunity that's been handed to us, really. So anyway, I'm going to just do a little diagnostic here of why I categorized these people into, you know, whether it's crazy, accidental, or working. This first one right here, I think she's presented herself personally very well. I just, you know, she's got a lot of things that are working so right for her. Dressed appropriate, the lighting's working for her, but what's happened here is the whole thing's accidental. We don't know what this is, but our impression is it's grooming items or medication or something, but it's like our eye kind of wants to go there, like, okay, you know, we didn't expect that in a business setting. It's distracting. We see it initially, we go back and we look at her, but our eye keeps like hitting that and back to her. That's distracting, and also it's discrediting what she's saying, and she doesn't know it, and that's what's unfortunate. An easy fix, but this gets into background issues. This gentleman here, you know, a couple of things are going on for him. This is another accidental situation. This is clearly a real working environment for him, probably a home office. And you know what? It didn't matter what it looked like in February. It matters now, and it will continue to matter. And so, you know, he just, you know, we get oblivious to things we see every day, and especially things at our home. And I realize some of you are working out of a business location now, but you're having to do Zoom meetings. And prior to this, clients and prospects did not see your office at work. So we're still going to touch on that. But so this still applies, and that is, he has, there's nothing that's registering with him visually what his office looks like to anybody else, because he's so used to it. He's not coming in and he's seeing a visual of himself like this. And I mean, he could, you know, when he's Zooming, but he may be lost in what he's presenting, and he's having no understanding that what it's like all of this is like, this is what he's framed himself with. He's the picture. Sorry, I'm a decorator, so these these analogies come to mind. He has framed himself with this, and it's kind of like a, you know, a fabulous painting that's been, because, you know, this guy may know a lot, whatever his business is or whatever company he works for. He may be the lead guy. He may be the guy with the expertise and the experience, but he has so discredited himself and put such a big hurdle in front of anyone paying attention to what he has to say and valuing it, and it's all happening accidentally. He has no idea. Okay, this gentleman here, you know, clearly he's chosen the virtual background, and we're going to talk about that today because we all know that's an option, but it doesn't work. It's not compatible on every laptop and every phone, so that's not a go-to option that we're going to have every time. But clearly it's working on his device here, but here's the problem is, it's so distracting that, you know, again, our eye just wants to kind of go back there. How can we sort of miss it? And also because it's like right by his head, you know, even when we try to focus here, which is what we're going to do when we're trying to understand what someone is communicating, it's right where we're looking. We just can't miss it. And we're just constantly distracted by that. The other thing that's going on is unless he's an event planner for children's birthday parties, this is going to discredit whatever his expertise is. Now, he's probably got a sense of humor, and that's a good thing, but this is not the time to display. You can be a little lighthearted in your presentation, but don't do a fun background. It's not going to take your audience where you're trying to bring them. You're going to be trying to drag them back unknowingly. They're struggling to get focused on you. Remember later. You don't want them later to remember your background. You want them to remember you and what you said and what you can do for them. Okay, this woman here has hit all the right notes. She's packaged herself well. She looks like she's, ready to do work, ready to do business. The lighting's good for her. I'm going to talk about in a little more detail. This lighting won't work for everybody, but it's working for her. We can still see her whole face. We can pick up on what she's saying, read that body English. That's important. We'll detail that more later. And the background is not real busy. It's not distracting us, but it doesn't look chaotic like this. It looks like it's a bit put together, or we don't have to know what all that is. It's okay. It's there. It's not just a blank white background that looks like she's maybe, standing in a hallway or something. So everything about this works perfectly, but you have such a different impression when you see all these people in a meeting. Okay, let's go to the next one. How important are video calls to your business success? And we've detailed some of this already. As a prospect, whatever your business process is, it can open up the door to a prospect hiring you. In my business, it's not uncommon to have what we call, quote, a discovery call, where someone can call us at no charge, tell us about their project, and kind of feel us out. How would we kind of do a project like that? What would the process be like? But also what's happening on my end is I'm trying to decide, are they a good fit? It's sort of a double interview, but the prospect doesn't see it that way. But it does allow me a bit to get a read on things too. It's useful for me. But for a prospect, I'll get hired or not at this phase right here. They've already checked out my website. They've taken the next step, and that's the value of the website, to get them to contact you. You spend a lot of money branding yourself on that website, doing advertising, all of that. You've invested time and money, hired people like Adam, which I cannot say, he's changed my business. I'll just tell you that. I've been in business for more years than I want to admit. And he is the best person I have had for marketing on many levels. So that's another whole topic. I could spend an hour on that. But anyway,
Thank you.
So, they've called me. Now I've got this opportunity. And one of the things I'm doing is, instead of just saying, hey, call me, when they contact me, I'll say, would you like a video call? Let's do that. I encourage that, because it's a way that because I feel confident presenting myself in that way. I would rather do that. That's a more powerful way for me to connect with them than just a phone call and I'm just a voice at the other end of the line. So this is what propels my clients to the next step. Now, maybe your business model isn't that way, but a lot of people don't just hire direct off the internet. They do want to go through a preliminary process, whatever that is in your business, where they're deciding to actually pull the trigger. So this gets them to move on to the next level of service, which is actually hiring me. And sometimes what's happening, and now they're a client, okay, in my bit, and I don't want to keep referencing that. It's one example, and your business model, but this is what's working for me, and it's common in my industry, is a client will not necessarily tell me every need they have. They'll tell me sometimes as small a need as they have, because it's a way to test drive me. I'm fine with that. I love it if they will give me a test drive, because it's a paid test drive. There's income stream coming back in to support that time I'm going to spend with them. But, they might say, hey, I need help picking the paint color. Can you help me with that? Yes, I can help you with that. They tell me more what's going on, and then I'll detail more also why I'm qualified to help them with that. And then what I'll find out is, after they're happy with that, they'll go, you know what? I need to decorate the whole living room and dining room area. They never hinted at that or divulged that at the front end. Now, granted, part of that's built on the experience and success they had with using my service. But you know, it just doesn't hurt, because when I'm doing these video consultations, really assist me, because you know, instead of me being a voice again on the other end of the phone, you know, we're connecting more, you know, just as people, where they can build trust in me, not only as a designer, but just in somebody and how I run my business. And part of that's just in how I present myself and my business, because I am my business in my case. I don't have employees. So it supports and strengthens my branding. It, you know, it gets people to take that step to the next level, other needs they have. Sometimes it's not at that point, but they'll come back later, or they'll refer someone, you know. So it's just been huge for me. I mean, this, at first, you know, when all this rolled through, I had a few virtual services, not very many. I have virtualized every service I have. And to be honest with you, it's all working well for me. I mean, I don't want to go back. So the other thing, it's keeping clients confident, and I'll say because it doesn't need to be all about me, in your company and your service in the current market, that you're still, you know, looking like you know what you're doing, sounding like you know what you're doing. You know, clients need that you have successfully transitioned into this new game that nobody had any time to prepare for. Are you floundering? Are you struggling? You know, if you're showing up looking a little like, not like how they saw you in in-person meetings, they're going to think, well, that sometimes it's so subconscious, but it's so instantaneous and it's so powerful. They're going to be questioning, has the service changed? When they see you look like you've changed, in this background doesn't look business-like to them. I mean, I would not want to have a Zoom meeting with my accountant and have her in a sweatshirt with an unmade bed in the background. You know, and I've had her for two and a half years, and she has been one of the two best accountants I've had in over 30 years. So that's saying quite a bit. But that would somehow rattle me a little bit, like, okay, you know, so she's not in her office anymore. So does she not have access? You know what? You know, I would start thinking things like that. You don't want to put those question marks in your client's mind. Not only that, you want to confirm for them that you have transitioned well. Now, if you're running a business and have employees, or even if you're in management or a director and you've got colleagues or employees or colleagues, you know, peers or people under you, they too need to know that the company is not rattled by this. They have pivoted successfully. They are all wondering about their job security because they're wondering about how's this company doing. Now I realize there's got to be some meetings that kind of happen about that, you know, how the company is changing, you know, we're going forward and all of that. But you know what those meetings, if all that same information came from leadership that looked like they were, you know, not looking like leaders, that would send such a mixed message. And if what we say does not match what people see, they will go with what they see. You know, that's more concrete to them. Words are sounds. They can't see that. What you can see, you will take precedent over what someone's saying. And if there's a contradiction in it, you will go with what you see. This is huge, you know, for just maintaining confidence and morale in your company, that the people, other colleagues, those that you are over or you are leading, they are not distracted by, hey, do I have a job next week? Is this company gonna, you know, is this company figuring out how to navigate this? You don't want that chipping away at them. You want them focused on doing the best job possible. Some of you are too young for this, but I remember when Reagan was in office, this is not to get into politics or parties, but the country in general had lost confidence in some areas as a nation. He saw that, and that was part of his persona. He was one of the ones that used these kind of press conferences of him sitting in the Oval Office. He did not do it sitting up in the private quarters of the White House. He positioned himself purposely in a setting that reinforced that, you know, I am still leading. You still have a leader who's on the job. And then, you know, just the information he gave was, of course, you know, supporting the changes, that he saw the issues. These are the plans he had to move forward. But you know what, that setting and how he packaged himself all supported everything he was saying. And you know, that was like a breath of fresh air to the nation. It started getting people not just looking at all the problems, but going, you know what? There's actually some solutions have been found that we are now going to move forward on. I mean, this was like turning people's perception around of a nation. You know, if that can happen, you have that kind of influence and potential for that in your own companies. It's huge. So again, a great opportunity. Also, if you are over salespeople, how you are modeling this to them. If they are going to be in meetings with clients or prospects, you are now modeling to them how to successfully visually represent the company and support the brand. Again, it's huge. Okay, onward and forward. All right, bottom line. So video calls are now part of your brand. Excuse me, I don't mean to get the arrow all over there. I'm just used to doing that. Video calls are now part of your branding. You should reflect your website and all of the marketing. Now, this could be a website, a company you're working for, or your own. But you know, this is where people are going to start, unless they even if they get a referral from somebody, they're still going to go to the website and check it out. If they see this, it's like, yes, this looks good. I like this. Would give anybody a good feeling. This is a company that's current. They look professional, business-like. The logo's looking very current. I'm feeling good about this. And you know, if they're nonprofit, they're like, Yahoo, this is really looking good. I'm not just haven't just found a bookkeeping service that will handle any kind of business. These are people who specialize in what I do. I mean, their expectation is now rising, and really this branding is drawing them in, is doing everything it should do, to the point that they are now getting motivated to make that contact. Okay, they do that. They take the step. Adam, I'm going to ask you a technical question. Can I reposition our pictures to get us up to the top corner without getting rid of everybody?
No, we'll have to just roll with it.
It's okay. You know, life's a learning curve. I have learned to position key things now on the left in my PowerPoint. All right. Okay. Well, I think you guys see enough of these pictures to get the point. Okay. So they have great expectations. They're excited. They have found what they think might be a really good fit. Okay. But there's another company they have found. They look just as good online. The website is communicating all the right things to them. They call this company here, and this is who they get. Do you think they'll be surprised? Do you think they're going to go, hey, you know, do you think their expectation is going to drop down a notch? Do you think there's going to be a big question mark now in their mind they did not have when they were over here looking at this? Yes, absolutely. Okay, and I'm sorry, I don't have another website I'm showing you, but let's say they saw another website that looked just as like, we know what we're doing here, and this is who they get. Now, this woman may have less experience. She's got experience. The website makes that clear. She sounds like she knows what she's doing when you talk to her. She's just as personable as this lady is up here. This lady's got more experience. Sounds like she knows what she's doing. Who do you think it would be easier for you to take the next step with? And what's it going to be based on? I mean, that's how powerful this is. It really does affect what people, you know, whether people want to take the next step, or did we just put a hurdle in front of them unknowingly? Okay. Now, are you as a business pro camera ready? And I alluded to that at the front end. The bar is pretty low. The majority are treating business calls like a personal call. My niece zoomed me in on a little birthday party they had for her niece. And that was just great for me. I loved it. You know, it was the app was on her phone. She's not in business. She's a teacher. So, I mean, there was nothing like that was driving her to think about business meetings or whatever. But my point in all of that is that's how much this is a part of everybody's personal life. And so when it comes to business calls, they're in that mode. You know, nobody cared what they wore. They were just happy they were part of it. all of that when it's a personal call. And because they don't know probably that there's so many easy things they could do, so a few easy things that would make all the difference, they're just sliding over into that. They're treating it no different than a personal call. And really, and because so many are treating it that way, they don't, when they see everybody's picture maybe come up on the Zoom meeting, they don't feel like they stand out. I mean, everybody else kind of looks as sort of like, hey, you know, we just showed up, you know, right here, you know, I'm grocery shopping. I mean, a little facetious there. Everybody, so many people just look the same way, that it's not alerting anybody that, hey, you know what, this is a problem. But the good news about that is it's going to be so easy for you to stand out in a good way that, you know, is not ostentatious. It's just, you look like somebody who's doing business, you know. I mean, that's what it, and not only that, even if you're in a meeting with colleagues or whatever, or people that you're working with and you're not even leading the meeting, what you have to say, you are a participant, what you have to say is again going to be framed by what people see. And yes, they probably already know you from working in, you know, just around you in the office or whatever your setting is. You know, they're seeing you in that framework as well. But if you position yourself less than you seem to be at work, the big question mark is going to be, are you still performing at the same level? Are you still pumping out the same quality work?
Yeah,
Or are
yeah,
you just kind of, you know, hitting this on the fly and, you know, not putting in the hours, not really focused, not really having the same, you know, quality standards, all of that. You know, if you are part of a meeting, whoever's leading that meeting is likely in a position of authority, could be in a position of authority over you. You know, if there's any promotions to be had in that company, you know, that's going to matter to them. Who looks like they're still on the ball? Who looks like, hey, you know, if they, you know, they're going to represent our company with clients, prospects, or whatever, who do we want, looks like they get it, that they know how to represent our company, that they understand this. You know, before all this happened, and I think as some of you may know, because I believe it was sent in the promo, I'm also an image coach. What we used, there was a phrase that was there, and this had nothing to do, you know, Zoom video calls didn't exist yet. It was like, dress for the position you want. In other words, look like the one who's ready for the promotion. Look like the one who's trying to move, who's aspiring to something better in the company, that has an upward, forward-looking focus, who looks promotable. Now this is all happening on Zoom. This is hugely important. Here's the other thing. I think, you know, the light bulb's going to turn on there, you know, where more people are going to start realizing, people who are business savvy are going to start realizing the importance of this, and that it can, you know, they can do better. And it's not complicated to do better. And we're going to see more people who, you know, step up to the plate on this. And what's going to happen is it's going to put them ahead of the competitive edge. You know, why not be at the forefront of that when it's all there anyway? All the information is there, the help is there. And we'll talk about that at the end if you feel you need some help with this. But I'm going to give you a lot of tips today that you can do yourself. Okay, but why not be ahead of the curve? And you know what? You could be landing clients now that other companies are losing. You could be promoted into a position now that other people are not being promoted into, that when the competition gets stiffer, you already have the client, you already have the position. Why not make your move now? Okay, what are the 4 biggest video mistakes business people make? Very simple: bad lighting, bad camera angle, bad attire, bad backgrounds. So we're going to go through those. I'm going to give you the tips on all of those, how to fix all those things, and also why they're important. Okay, we're going to start with the first one, lighting. Why is it so important? You will only engage people if they can see your face. You know, because, you know, we're not doing in-person meetings like we were before. People really want that contact. And that's the appeal of these video calls, is they don't just want to go by voice on the other end of the phone. They want to see the body English, the body language, all of that. you know, tone of voice, expression of the face, and eyes especially, are how we pick up how somebody meant the same words. You know, a tone of voice, expression changes. The exact same words have a different meaning to the point they could actually mean the opposite. Someone could be facetious and say something, they mean the opposite than someone who's smiling and mean exactly what they said, literally. So it's so important that people can see your face and, you know, feel like, you know, this is going to engage them. Eye contact will engage people and feel like that they can really understand what you are saying, that you are engaged with them, that you're looking at them. Well, they have to see your face well to do that. So, you know, light, you want to avoid at all costs, never light only directly above. Now, sometimes that's if you're in a business setting and it's like a fluorescent lights in the ceiling and it's not zoned, you can't turn it off over you. That's the way that we will address that in a little bit. But if that's the only light there, you never want to, you need to solve that problem. And I'll tell you how to do it. You can't do this. It just, you know, it just puts you in the shadow and it creates very unattractive, you know, shadows on everybody. Here's another thing, and I deal with this. So I really work on this, and I maybe have not been the best at it today, but I tried. Diffuse window light to stop. So I'm reading, I'm a little clock on the computer here. Diffuse window light to stop the glare on glasses. What I do, because I am Zoom meeting in my dining room. I have a wall of windows that are probably over, I would say probably 12 feet long, and it faces west. So in the afternoon, I have to draw the window treatment over that. It creates such harsh shadows that it's just not great. But, you know, I want to keep looking that way because we do that. When we think of concepts, we look around, our brain's geared that way. And I know sometimes I do get glare, but, you know, it is diffused a bit. So, you know, that's just something to think about. If you wear glasses and you are getting reflection on it, you really have to deal with that because people cannot see your eyes. And at that point, you look like Orphan Annie, you know, where it just, you know, there's nothing there. I mean, it's just, they can't read. All they have to go with is the rest of your expression. And it's still disconcerting when you cannot. We will always look at people's face and then we'll zero in on their eyes and their mouth. Those are the two things that tell us what emotion is coming along with that expression. So that's really huge. People need to see your face to be able to engage with you. Okay, lighting tip number 2, keep the windows and the lights in front of you, not behind you. This is the same room, same person, same lighting. We can tell this room is well lit behind him. There's no lighting issue at all. It's just what way is he faced. This is a great way to be lit, just straight on, just face the light, face the light, go towards the light. Just face the window, and I'll talk about that if you're in a windowless space, but here shows, you know, when he flipped around, that's what happens. Now that's worst case scenario, but you know, I have seen Zoom meetings where people didn't look much clearer than that. Others in the meeting, it was informal enough that they felt they could say that it wasn't going to hurt anybody's feelings, said, you know, it's really hard to see you. And they said, oh, well, the room's really light. That's funny. Well, right behind them was this, they were in their well, right behind them was a big dining room chandelier and and a window. And so, I mean, but they thought this was their perception of their room. This is what everybody saw online. So, you know, it seems obvious, but sometimes we just forget the obvious. So I just, you know, wanted to make a real point about that. Now, here's a little trip you can use as you're trying to find also the best lighting. You know, you can play with that a little bit. Use your cell phone, do a cell phone selfie and move around with it and just see what you look like on your phone. That's a great gauge to decide is your, you know, if you're going to Zoom on your phone, yes, you've got a lot of flexibility where you can do that. If you're going to Zoom on your laptop, still do that and figure out where does your laptop need to be when you meet, because I had to do that here. I wanted it still on my desk, but you know, I had to figure out what angle and all of that was going to be the best. And that's a cell phone selfie helped me quickly do that. So that's a great tip. Okay, let's keep rolling here. Now, if you're in a windowless space or you're in a space that doesn't have enough light, this is easy, easy. If you're home, you want to set up diffuse light. So you can just place lamp lights above the eye level, just a little bit, at a 45-degree angle in front of you. So they're not going to be far enough behind you. They show up in your Zoom background, and they're also going to be lighting the front of your face as well as the side. That's the whole point,
I like that.
evenly. So you can do that with lamps. These are match set. That'd be great if you had it. If you don't, and they're somewhat equal light, you can roll with that. But this is an easy way to do it. If you're in a work setting and so you can't like pick up a couple or just get a couple lamps from your home, then, you may need to just, there's, all kinds of equipment online. You may need to get a couple small diffuse lights that you can then set up just on your desk, elevate them at eye level, but set that up. And that's part of how you zoom in. I know that's a little extra effort and it's a little bit of investment, not huge, but if you don't do that, it will, everything else you do will be lost. If you're not well lit, that's why I started with this. It's the first thing that's got to be right. Okay, let's go to number 2, camera angle. Why is it so important? And this is the most common thing, it's too low because, people are doing it off their laptop, the Zoom meeting, it's going to be too low. And they just don't think about that. That's just, they're at work now, that's where they go. We'll just, open up the video here and away we roll. But this is the problem is, number one, it appears like you're looking down on people. It's uncomfortable. It feels like, it's one of those body language things. And in times past, sometimes executives were told, hey, if you're calling someone into your office to meet with you, I can't say I was on board with this, but this was out there. You want a chair that the person coming in will sit in will be lower than the chair you're in. Now, it can't be drastically lower. That would be like weird and obvious, but you wanted it lower. So they were forced to look up to you. In other words, it made you kind of more imposing. Well, without meaning to, this is what's happening, is that people feel like they're being looked down on, that somehow they're inconsequential, that they're not an equal. I'll just put it that they feel like they're not an equal somehow. That's all subconscious. They will never probably verbalize that, but that's the impression they're getting. And this gentleman has no idea. He's just doing what was easy and comfortable and what he was used to, but that's the impression he's giving people, and it's not a comfortable one. Okay, it's also an unflattering angle. Nobody looks good with, view down here, right? It's shadows that aren't flattering. If you, have any extra whatever going on around the neck, it's going to highlight that, it's going to scope that. It's just not going to be your friend. And here's the third thing: the ceiling now largely becomes your backdrop. Again, it makes the viewer feel like they're almost laying on the floor looking up at you if they're seeing that much of your ceiling. So all of it's very uncomfortable for the viewer. This is all accidental, background here and accidental lighting well, he's lit pretty well. In fact, I'm gonna jump, this is another lighting thing. I'm gonna tell you about this. These are both examples of side lighting. This works. If you do some side lighting, but we can still see this part of you, we're good. This is what does not work, where we're just, that might as well be gone. This is like Phantom of the Opera with the mask, okay? We can't really see what's happening there. And this is very harsh lighting. It's very unflattering. It's going to highlight anything. This is not a wrinkle, but, it almost looks like a flaw on a video. And those are things you got to, that's part of being on video, is things that in person would not be an issue can end up looking like flaws, and lighting is doing it. Okay. Let's get to the next one. Okay, again, camera angle. You will need to make eye contact. Again, we talked about that to engage people. So elevate the camera lens to your eye level. This is, he's looking down, he's looking at his laptop and all of that. He's lit very well, all of that. When we get into what he's wearing, I'll have a couple of tips for this gentleman. But anyway, what's happening is if we go back and forth, who do you feel is really connecting with you between these two people? And the whole reason is just eye contact. that you can immediately engage with the presenter on the right. The one on the left, you're like, is a little more interested in what he's looking at on his screen, wonder what he's looking at. He's a little bit more interested in his keyboard. You know, I feel like I'm kind of just like in the back of the room here. I'm not really anybody he's connected with, and I'm not so invested in what he's saying. It's huge that people feel like you're looking right, like you're, you know, it's like normal. If you were sitting at a conference table, or you were standing and talking together about something, you would want to be kind of eye level to eye level, somewhere in that range. This feels normal. This is not presenting any hurdles in front of people. This feels like normal life. It's what everybody's geared to react to, and what everybody wants now with all this isolation. Okay, all right. Oh, also the other thing is, when you're looking down, it makes you look sleepy or tired. Not a good look. Doesn't make, you know, doesn't she look a lot more energetic, ready to go? You know, just, you know, on board, all of that. It's it just changes so many things. Okay, so what you wear, why is it so important? You need to support your brand. All of this is supporting your brand. Same scenario with these two examples here. The lady on the top, you know, knows what she's doing, great experience, great reviews on her website, very easy to connect with, personable, all of that. And yet you're just going, I think I'd like to try that. Maybe I'm not ready to hire yet, but whatever that next step is, I think I'll try out the one on the bottom. I mean, most people will be trying to give themselves a logical reason to go with their emotional reason. We make emotional decisions first and try to back them up with logic. They will be trying to give themselves a reason, a logical reason why they're going to try the one on the bottom first. That's what happens. Okay, support your brand. Don't surprise people. Okay, what you wear. Here's another reason why it's important. Quote, this is a quote because it's me. I should put my name on the bottom. I'm so used to just reading quote, quote, to act like a business pro on video, you will need to still feel like one. What you wear makes a difference. And, you know, when I was doing image coaching and, you know, was some of the clients were, you know, doing presentations, things like that, speaking, whatever, you know, I told them, I said, you know, how I'm going to suggest you package yourself, as a term we use, is going to be based on two things. It's going to be based on what your industry is, you know, how you well, three things. What's normal in your industry? What's the best normal in your industry? You know, what's going to support your brand, and what's going to make you feel comfortable, how you look, confident, how you look, that you cannot be distracted by people looking at you, seeing you, wondering what they think, that you can focus on your expertise, relating to the audience, thinking about them, picking up clues from them, that, you know, your whatever you're presenting is highly targeted. This is where this comes in. The psychological effect is not only on your attendees, it's on you. And this gentleman here has mixed feelings about Zoom meetings, but not uncommon. You know, he knows this is a work scenario, so kudos to him. He put on a work shirt. That's in what's appropriate for his business, and I'll get into what's appropriate in a minute. But he'd really kind of like to be somewhere else. And, you know, that's the lower part. I know there's a big joke about that, of what people wear in the lower part, and I've laughed at all those along with everybody else. But here's the real reality to that. It does affect how you feel online. Now, you may think this is to an extreme, but I've proved this enough to myself. Even though I'm sitting in my dining room working, I dress myself completely down to the shoes of what I would wear if I was going in doing, you know, as a designer, I did a lot of in-home consultations, or if I was going to go speak to a group. I even wear the shoes, and they're not my most comfortable ones. I will admit it. They're a fashion statement. But I debated that. I thought, am I going to do that or not? And I thought, yes, I am. I'm going to do it. I feel different. It's as a professional, it allows me to be my best. I know it has that effect on me. And so I just can't stress that strong enough. A lot of people feel like, well, that's a nice idea, but prove it to yourself just once. Just prove it to yourself once. Do what maybe is normal for you, that it's comfortable. And for some people, it's not even, you know, the top half is not even business-like. Whatever is comfortable for you, just do it. But next time, you do the other. Test it out for yourself. I will guarantee you, you will feel different. You will do your best. You will do better. There's no doubt about that. Why? Because you will feel differently about yourself. And no, we all telescope how we feel about ourselves, and very few people are going to think better of us than we think of ourselves. Now, that's not about being vain or proud. That's about being confident in what you have to bring to the table to help people, instead of being distracted by other things that have, I mean, basically, it's kind of being self-absorbed to be worried about how people are perceiving you by what you look like. And, you know, you can remove that completely. I mean, it will be so much more comfortable and enjoyable for you to feel good about presenting what you have to bring to the table than have that gnawing in the back of your mind. I mean, when I first started speaking, you know, going and talking to groups about decorating and all of that, I had never enjoyed speaking before, but I had a woman come into my life as a decorating client who was also an image coach. And she said, I will, let's trade services. I will train you. And I went, well, never thought about that, you know. Well, that really changed my business, and it changed my life because it applies both ways. And I think of her every time I have to, you know, put something together for a situation. I know how to analyze that. I know what to put together that I can then present, and I'm not going pulling at my clothes or feeling uncomfortable or wondering what people, you know, I now enjoy it. It's fun for me to actually go in and present and talk about what I know and share that with other people, get them excited about it, help them, you know, improve their lives in whatever way that is that I can impact. You know, it's a whole different feeling going to work when you can, you know, approach it with that kind of confidence. So yes, it's huge what you wear. And honestly, we're going to get into, well, with background here, you know, what this gentleman is struggling with is evident even in, you know, what's going on in his work setting. You know, a lot of things are telescoping here. Now, we don't know, you know, this isn't going to probably show, but there might be some of that shows, but you know, he doesn't have anything besides the shirt helping him be his best, and it could all be solved so quick. And you know what, if it's just a matter of, hey, it was 10 minutes to put on something for work and get it 10 minutes later to get out of it and get in something comfortable, that's 20 minutes well invested in your career and in your company. Okay. All right, what to wear, tips for men. This is so easy. Okay, just one step more casual than in the office, but not beyond a polo shirt. That's it. That's just one step more casual. What now? What's norm in your industry? What were your clients used to you seeing? Now, I have a caveat to that, and that's this. We on the West Coast, if that's where you're based, are known for being casual, okay? I'm a native West Coaster. I get that, and I'm not opposed to it. However, you know, it can, you know, so what happens is this, is I find when I'm working with people on image, what they struggle with the most is not how to dress up, it's how to look casual well. Because it's like, okay, I know I don't need to wear a sports coat here, but, you know, could I just wear a colored t-shirt with my favorite, you know, band on it? Like, no. That's, you know, you're let's say you're going this, you know, we're not doing so much of this, but let's say you're going to a corporate event, you know, your management, you're going to a corporate event, but it's at some resort, you know, you're there for 3 days, you know, you were one of the salespeople that won an award, this, you know, you're there and you've got all these social situations that are more casual. That's where people struggle. They don't know how to dress down and look well in like more of what we call sports clothes without it being a sweatshirt. Okay, so I'm going to just start here and work my way down. West Coast, we don't have a lot of men that this is now part of what's expected of them, still some. But I want to just start here as an example. If this would be the norm in your industry, and also assess yourself, are you dressing appropriately? Were you dressing appropriately in the office? If you were dressing like this in the office and it should have been like this, don't start here and go here. You know, you really do need to kind of gauge that. Anyway, if you had to be in a suit and tie kind of scenario, you know, you handle people's finances, or you were an attorney or something like that, big trust. You know, you've got to have people's trust. They are not gonna, you know, not gonna gamble with this. Okay, if that was the norm, this is the next step down. You are wearing, you know, a sports coat. You are still wearing a button shirt with a collar, not a t-shirt underneath it, not being California cool. I like that look, but that's if you're going to a party, okay? You know, whatever. Anyway, but this is the next step down. So that's an easy transition. A dark suit is going to be a little bit of a power suit. You know, if you got something lighter in your wardrobe, and I don't mean just because of summer, but just not quite so power suit. I wouldn't do this dark suit, white shirt. That's a little too power looking. But, you know, go to mid-tones or things like that, or lighter tones in the summer like this gentleman is doing here. Hits the perfect note. Okay, if this is your norm, you drop down to this. You just don't wear the jacket. Easy, easy, easy. Same shirt going on that you would normally wear. Okay, if this is your norm, this isn't a polo shirt per se, but I do want to use this gentleman as an example for something else. You could, depending on your industry, polo shirts work well if you're doing something physical. If you're like a trainer, personal trainer, if you're a coach, if you're doing something like that, you can do a polo shirt thing. The next step down from this, if that's not an industry you're in that's real active, I would say is go to a button shirt like this, but you could go to short sleeve. Now, again, that's a little tricky in the winter, but hey, turn the heat on and just do whatever. Or, you know, a lot of times your Zoom lens may not even catch that, but I mean, it is an intermediate step you could do. You could go to a button shirt, or even do like Preston is doing here. He rolled up his sleeves. You know, you could do that. That's more casual look with this. Okay, this gentleman here.
So Mary, real quick, I have a quick question for you.
Yes.
And I know this is going to be a temptation for a lot of men, especially during the summertime. What are your feelings towards Hawaiian shirts, aloha shirts?
Oh, okay. That's interesting you asked that. I love those. I love those. I thought they were so cool. I loved them years ago. Nobody did it. Nobody thought it was cool unless you were in California. But I don't, again, to me, that's not anything, unless you work at Trader Joe's and you're in management, yes, you're the exception. You can wear it. But if you're not in that situation, it's going to be a distraction. It's going to look like you're zooming from the pool side and begrudgingly interrupted your social life with this Zoom meeting. It's not going to serve you well as an employee or business owner in the least. It's going to be a distraction. You're going to look like a joke. You're going to look like you don't take this seriously. So hooray for Hawaiian shirts, but that is not Zoom wear. Okay. That didn't occur to me, Adam. Thank you. Okay, all right, so now for this gentleman here, I want to point out, because it's so common, you know, this is a lot of times about as much as we see, you know, how these guys are, that can be about as much as we see. Sometimes we get, you know, all three of these, sometimes we get a little bit more, nothing wrong with that if the background's working. This is great. People get a little more of a feel for you as long as they can easily see your face, but they see a little bit more of your body language. The t-shirt. This is, all he needed to do was, this is a crew neck. He needs a V-neck t-shirt. They exist. And so, you know, if it's winter and a guy needs that, you can do that under, you know, anything that's open like that. If it's not buttoned up here like this type of t-shirt is only made for a button up shirt situation, because it's never meant to show. So you need to invest in a V-neck t-shirt, then you can wear them, you're good. If you want to wear a t-shirt under a suit, you don't want to do the V because that could show. That's why you have these, is nothing shows. You've got continuous, whatever it looks like. If he didn't have his jacket on or around the tie, if the jacket pulled away a bit, we're not going to see the outline of the V t-shirt. So that's a simple thing, but you know what? Just look at this. Your eye is always going to go to what's light or what's bright. So we look at this guy and bing, we want to just go right there. And we go, okay, that's not what this means. By the way, go up here and we're like, yeah, bing. Okay. Granted, I'm a visual person. My eye wants to do that stuff. But you know what? Everybody goes to light or bright. So it's an easy thing. Just be aware of it. That's not going to be what you want for Zoom day. Okay. And honestly, the truth is you could give that look up entirely and be just fine. It's not, this is underwear. This is not outerwear. Just think of it that way. Okay. It was white like that in a crew neck. Okay. All right. So we'll move on here. This is for women. It's the same, rule, one step more casual than in the office, but not sportswear or tank tops. So if you are wearing any kind of a structured jacket, as they call it, doesn't have to be a suit, but even just anything that's like got lapels on it, all of that, not a lot of that going on, but it does happen. Again, at certain businesses, you normally would have needed to be dressed like that to engender trust in your expertise. Anyway, if that was your norm, you just don't wear the jacket. You just still wear what you would have normally worn under that as your business wear, you're good to go. If this was your norm, this is the next step down. It's knit, it's very comfortable, it's not a tank top. This was as casual as you would want to be. And I know you can't see in detail what I'm wearing. It looks like a blouse like this, but what I'm wearing is actually knit. It's as comfortable as this. That stuff's out there. Maybe check your wardrobe, see if you've got some things like that. And since I think these Zoom meetings might be with us for a while, you're adding to your wardrobe. It's something to be aware of, that you could start looking for things. If you need to have a blouse kind of look, start checking fabrics. This particular brand was, I'm trying to think, well, it'll come to me later. Anyway, they're out there that you can be in a knit and look like this. You just can't go here. You cannot do sportswear. You cannot do tank tops. You don't want to show that kind of skin, and it's just inappropriate. It's beach wear. It's, just, hey, I'm hanging out with my family. You just can't afford to do that. Not as much as you've invested in your career and in your business, you can't go there. Okay. All right, your background. Why? Sorry, I'm just going to check my time here. Oh, Adam, told you I wasn't going to take an hour. Well, what did I know? Your background. Why is it support? It needs to support your brand. We already talked about that, so I won't detail this. Okay, your background. How to make it work for you. It's evenly lit. You want to choose a space with some depth so it looks like in a room versus in a hallway. Rearrange what you have. That's always the goal. So it's simple, it's organized, and it's appropriate. It's not busy. It's not people wanting to look all around and see what's kind of there. It doesn't look cluttered. It feels, and it's appropriate. I've seen some where people had like things that were displayed behind them were like kids' collections. I mean, they were just completely unaware. Anyway, you want to avoid sitting in front of the best thing about your background. I've seen that happen a lot where, they'll move a little bit and you go, oh, yeah, okay, there was a plant back. That was cool. But, what we're seeing around them is not working without that. They have blocked the best thing about it. You don't want anything distracting behind you. Okay, here we go. Okay, now case study. Here's Preston. All right, our man Preston. He's in the conference room there, Pullman Marketing Headquarters. And so I'm going to show you, this is the before. He was so wonderful to work with me on this yesterday. We kind of sped our way through it. So I'm going to show you some things that I came up with that they did not have time to implement, but I want to show you the effect. So this is the before. We've got lighting issues. We've got some things in the background that aren't going to support their business brand and all of that. So let's just power through here. And this is the change. What happened? I'll show you with it, but just give you a moment to take it in. But that feels like, okay, these guys are ready to, clearly we floated Adam in, and he's not really that blurry, but that was just something done quickly. Anyway, these guys look like they know what they're doing. They're ready to do business, and they're in a business setting. And I have great expectations of them. If this is my first meeting, I'm like, ooh, okay, all right. I'm ready to listen to what these guys have to offer. Okay, here's a side-by-side before and after. What was the difference? Sorry, Preston, you're behind the whatever. Anyway, lighting. We fixed the lighting, made a huge difference. Simple things, close the door. That's distracting, or it's light, our eye wants to go there. It also, you know, if you have other employees, it could, I'd put a sign out there, just like they used to do when they were doing on air, you know, meetings, that nobody would just come into the studio unknowingly. It's like, hey, video meeting in progress. You know, people know not to walk in. You know, hopefully it shields, you know, just conversations going by, all of that. It's a simple thing, but just be aware of that. We removed some things that really were not supporting the business brand. We found other locations for all of these except the desk. We moved the AC unit. No reason that that would need to be in the video background. This is a window that had a small window here, big window in the middle, has another small window at the other end panel. That could just move down to the other end. Easy fix, okay? Then I dropped in a plant. Well, I don't know how to go back, so we won't go back. Anyway, plant here to kind of soften it a little bit. And then this is a, you know, just a piece of art. It can be, you know, you already have it. This is my goal is look around at what you have. I will give you the ideas if you need help. And you can send me pictures and I'll see what you have to work with. And I can say, hey, move that, that piece of art over here. I had to move this desk. It's actually a desk, but we're treating it like a console so that, you know, we can start doing some things like that give it a different look in the background so it makes sense. Hung this piece of art over it and dropped in a plant. Not complicated at all. You know, I know we needed something on there, so I just chose a cups and some mugs. And I know, Adam, you're very good at supporting local coffee businesses, so that's probably not going to happen, but you get the idea that there's something, you know, that this surface could be used for something that's appropriate for a business setting. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, this could even be a marketing opportunity when you do meet with clients here or prospects here. Those could be, you know, travel mugs with your marketing on or something like that, okay? All right. Here we go. This was another option I did. This basically this is peel and stick wallpaper. If you're interested in that, temppaper.com is a great place to go. If you're leasing or renting and you can't do anything to the walls, this is a solution if you need it. And I know it looks like we didn't finish wallpaper in the wall, but that actually was just, that goes around the bend. This is the side wall here. So that was just an easy fix there. So anyway, though, that shows you what's possible. So 4 steps of looking like a business pro in video: right lighting, you want it in front of you, or at slight angles for glasses, both boost it if you need to with 2 side or 1 front light and slightly above the eye level. You want the right camera angle at eye level, right attire, fit your brand, 1 step more casual than the office, the right background, simple, organized, appropriate, okay? If you need any help doing that, then this is what this is. If you don't feel really that confident, you know, as a professional on video meetings, that's what this video branding Zoom session is geared for. It's pretty simple. Just send me your website link so I get a sense of your brand. Send me photos of your room. Send a selfie where you normally Zoom so I can see, you know, what the backdrop is, your lighting is, all those things. And together we'll create your pro background via Zoom. If you have things for me to work with, I then will be directing you via that Zoom meeting how to place those things. Like I would have said, hey, you know, move those appliances away, move that desk in the middle. You'll be my hands and I'll just direct you how to do it. You also, if you wish, you can receive image tips. That would be the kind of things that we talked about today. You know, if you kind of look at your wardrobe or whatever, put on what you think would work, and then I'll give you, you know, I'll tell you, hey, that's really working, or you know what, you could tweak it a bit, and here's what you could do. Typically that's an hour to do that. And as you can tell, I don't run short, even though I was concerned this wouldn't last 30 minutes. It's $197 for that. If you need to get a hold of me, this is how you can do it, mary@onedaydesign.com, or that's my local number, 425-977-5599. And, you know, if you've got any questions on that, get a hold of me. I can answer those for you. And if you need some help, you can, that quick, you can be up and running and really present yourself in a professional way and make all the difference in your meetings. Okay, Adam, back to you.
No, that was awesome. Thank you so much, Mary. That was fantastic. And there's a lot of really good stuff there. And as much as we do Zoom, we have a couple rooms that we do video recordings and live streams. It's good information for us to understand a little bit more of the things that we might know, but we haven't had words to put with them yet. And so I really appreciate all your time today looking at this.
Good.
There are a couple questions.
Okay, I'm fine with questions. I do apologize for running people over. Anyway, but yes, I definitely have time for that.
Awesome, awesome. And then Dee Reed, she says, excellent presentation. Thank you very much. That's awesome to hear.
Thank you, Dee.
And then Aziz is asking, in one of your PowerPoint slides, the example had the gal looking right into the lens.
Yes.
And he finds that a bit hard to do because of sometimes the cameras will have a little light on them. Because the light is actually like trying to light you.
Yes.
And there's not a way to turn those off. What would you say in that circumstance? Like, is it okay to have it a little bit off to the side, or how do you work with the eyes?
I don't think that's a great question, Aziz, and thank you for asking that. I don't know. Well, I don't know that there's a perfect solution to that. This isn't going to help someone who has it, but I would just say I would not, that seems like a real convenience on that apparatus, but the truth is it's not a good solution. That type of device is not a good solution for the very thing that he's mentioning, is preventing that. Is trying to be an all-in-one, get everything you need in one device, but it's creating an issue. And so there isn't like a perfect solution. That I would say experiment with that and see how far down you would have, or how far you would have to rate, how you need to adjust it, see what's the least you could do, and you're still comfortable with the light scenario, and see how you look on the Zoom. And I mean, that's what you'll have to roll with, but experiment with that. Be very purposeful about that, to play with that, and know, even if you have to do, if you're doing Zoom meetings in one setting, I would actually do a measure. You know exactly where that camera needs to be, if it's on a stand or whatever, you know exactly where that needs to set, that it's the best you can do with that device. So that, unfortunately, is not 100% solution, but that's what I would suggest. Now, whether that means you put it above you, below you a little bit, you're probably playing with that. Your eye level, I meant to say. Because if you put it too far below, it's like the flashlight under the chin thing. It's like, that's not a great look. And if you put it too far above, it's creating those shadows as well, but you'll have to see what's going to be the best.
Yeah, and Aziz, I might even try taking a sticky note and just seeing if you can, I don't know where the microphone versus the lens versus that light sits, but if there's a way to even have something to block it, that might be another way to do it. And then Reed also asks, if we don't have a space set up for video presentations, how would we use a curtain backdrop appropriately and make it look professional?
Okay, all right. Let me, if they could respond to this, are you in an office where you don't have control over what your backdrop looks like? Is that what's kind of happening for you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
yes, yeah.
Okay. You could do that. It will look a little bit like maybe you're on stage or you're backed up to a window. It might depend how, okay. This would be the best with that. You could do a curtain backdrop, but you don't want it right behind you if you can avoid that. It will look like you're just standing up against a window or a wall or something. If it's not immediately behind you, there's some distance, so we have some sense that you're in a room. If a silk plant can be put by that to diffuse that to one side, that will help you. Otherwise, a curtain backdrop is going to look a little stark. It's better than looking at things that would be distracting. You could possibly think about something with, I'm just thinking of this, a subtle pattern to you. You're going to be real careful of that pattern, that it looks business-like and not residential, like a home. but it could be the scenario that maybe that wallpaper was doing in that one solution I did. You'd have to be real careful about, because a curtain, because it's not flat fabric, the pattern gets doubly busy when you gather it. You'd have to select that carefully, or you are, you know, you could try it, but I'm really thinking something like a floor plant that you could quick put to one side. You're going to need, that would be ideal, that you could soften that in some way. Yeah.
Yeah, and then if any of you would like to, you can, we're happy to make you a panelist. And so then you'd be able to talk with us live and be able to show your background a little bit as well. We're happy to do that this afternoon as well. I know Aziz was asking a couple things, but feel free to drop any more questions. Otherwise, we'll probably be wrapping it up for the day here soon. I'll take a moment and once again thank the Southeastern Washington Economic Development Association for helping to sponsor these events, and for the city and for the chamber, Pullman City and Chamber, to be promoting and helping to put out the word for these things. We're so excited to be able to bring in such a professional like Mary Brown to this. She is one of our clients that we've been able to work with for, I think, almost a year now.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just been absolutely delightful. And she's even done some consulting in my home, and so I can definitely say that she is amazing to work with, and we have loved every part of the process.
I think
and so if you take a look at her website, there's all kinds of other remote services that are available. It was smooth, it was simple, and oh my goodness, our bedroom's almost back together. If you've been on these webinars before, I've mentioned my ceiling leak.
I'm excited to see it.
And yeah, the carpets were supposed to come in this week. It got pushed to next week. So we're
okay. You're getting there. Yeah.
So.
Okay, good. And I know Preston's been busy as well at his house. Had a nice session with you and your wife. Really enjoyed that. So.
That work has gone very well. So.
Oh, good.
Mm-hmm. So it looks like there's no other questions for the day. So we'll close it out, and thank you everyone so much for attending. This webinar is recorded, and we will be pushing it out here in the next coming week. If there's anything you missed or wanted to go over, that will be available. So thank you again, Mary, and everyone have a wonderful day today.
Yeah. Thank you, Adam. I really appreciate it, and you, Preston, as well.